As per the requirement, this was the WIHP field syncing sheet in which there are some sort of fields from the accounts and some of the fields which are not created in the account. All these fields need to be synced. The data of these fields need to be synced into the Salesforce from the third party. Some of the fields which are not in the Salesforce, we needed to create those fields, but under some other object, which is like maybe the child of account. So how we set up this schema? So let me show you how we set up that schema. So this is one of the account where we have some of the fields which are already created from the sheet, and some of the fields which we have seen that the comment is added to SF. So all these fields needed to be created in one of the custom object that could be related to that account only. So meanwhile, whenever an account will come from the REST API and the data we going to sync in the Salesforce, that would be in a way that these fields will get synced into the account, and the add to SF field will go under that custom object. So the schema is set up in that way only. So let's suppose this is one of the account, and since the requirement was not to create one of the section but a custom object, so under the related, there is one custom object that we created with the name of meta IO data, and under that object all those fields has been created. So whenever an account is going to be created from the other system into the Salesforce, so some field will get populated in the account. These VI account ID label, address, zip code, city, country, phone number, latitude, longitude, and all those existing field will get mapped into the account, and the new field add to SF field will get mapped in the related meta IO data object. So for that, we have created a REST API, and for that REST API, we have created a public site into the Salesforce, and we are using that public site to get the data from the API. So how the API would work? So the return method type would be get, and the endpoint would be the base URL of the public site included with. We need to append this URL in the base URL of that public site. So for now, this base URL is of sandbox. So once we'll create a public site into the production, so we need to use this base URL for the from the production's public site. So this is the endpoint. In the header, we just need to pass content type as application JSON, and in the body, so this is the JSON that we have designed to receive the data. So how it's working is we have created one array of account, and in that array of account there are all the fields which are related to the accounts, and all those custom fields which we have created in meta IO data object will go under the inner array from the accounts array. So the parent array is account, here are the fields of account, and this is the child array, that is the meta IO data and all these fields. So the key would be the API name from the account object or from the meta IO data object. So this is being created dynamically in a way that if you want to add more field into these arrays, you can add that without changing in the code. So let's suppose we have created one more field in either in account or in meta IO data. We just directly have to add those field in the request body only, and there is no need to change the code in the Salesforce. So let's create one account. So let's say 360 demo to sync, and let's suppose this is the phone number. And one more important thing, since the API must return the WIHP WIP ID from the Salesforce as the response body. So for there is one automation in Salesforce that is already running, which is generating the WIP ID only based on the type. If the type is customer prospect, then the WIP ID is being generated. So it is must to add type, else WIP ID won't be returned back to the in the response. So also there was one validation that the account must be created only if name, latitude and longitude does not exist in the Salesforce. Means there should not be any duplicate account with all these conditions. So if all these three, an account with these three values exist in the Salesforce, then it should return, else it should create and return the WIP ID in the response. So I'm going to create this account. Let's click on send. So in status code, and we have an internal, this is the response body which we have designed. So for 200, the response body would be in the form of result, and under that status code would be 200. Message will be account created successfully, and WIP ID would be the WIP ID which is generated from the Salesforce account. So now the account has been created in the Salesforce. So let's go into the Salesforce and see the account data. So this was the account that we created. So all those details that we have added from the account is being here, and this is the WIP ID right there, which is being returned. Here is the address, here is the latitude, longitude, phone number, and all other details. Let's check the custom objects data. So the name is auto-generated, and rest all are the fields and having the data from the API itself. Okay, now let's try to create the same account once again, and let's see how it would respond. So since the account with the same name, latitude and longitude already exists in the system, so it won't let you to create a new account. It would return you 200 of course, but with the error, and the status code as 400, and the error code is 1, and the message would be account with the same details already exist in the system. So the error body is designed in such a way that uh, the status code would be 400 and error code would be 1 and 2. So one error code is the error that we are returning, which is based on the duplicate, and error code 2 would be the system generated error if in case of any exception. So exception in the way like let's suppose this phone is a string data type, right? And we want to pass the number in the field, but the field's data type is the string. And let's try to send. So since it's the same account, let's try to change this. The priority is the duplicate, and the second priority would that go. Okay, so now the error code is 2, which is illegal assignment from integer to string, which is because the phone is the string and we are trying to pass the number as the data. So you don't have to go in deep for the error code 2. This is the system generated error that would be returned if in case any data from the request body is sent incorrectly. So this is how it's working. And one more important note, the data need to be sent only in a form of the data type of that particular field. So for now, since all these fields data type is a string, so we are sending string in the value. So let's suppose you have added any new field in account or in meta.io data object. which have some other data type, let's suppose the pick list value or the boolean. So, and you are trying to pass a string in that, so that won't work. You would have to pass the data in only in that format only, for which that particular field supports the data type. So this is the only necessary detail that we need to consider. Thank you.